Hello, welcome to Slogan's Rock and Metal Extravaganza. Oh, Mike. Oh, so yeah, welcome to our episode of Sport of Kings for our Triumph series. So we are going to start with, let's see, who are we going to start off with here? Let's go with, we'll start off with Mike Ladonna.
Pick the Canadian.
Yeah, pick the Canadian.
Okay.
Pick one of the Canadians.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to go through the album
Yeah,
track
just
by
go
track?
how you discovered the album and just album
Okay.
tracks.
I discovered the album. Columbia House Music Club way back in 1989. I was just kind of, not finishing. I was starting my collection of certain bands. I'd already acquired Stages earlier that year on cassette, and Sport of Kings was the next thing I bought because I really wanted the song "Somebody's Out There Somewhere." I loved that song. The music video was on. Tim's cringing. I loved that song. It was so upbeat, and I bought the thing on cassette. Got it in the mail a few days later, and it was a really nice looking cassette, clear shell, which was kind of rare at that time. And I just fell in love with this album. There's so many good songs on it that were very, very easy to get into, instantly catchy songs, different variety of styles too. And Sport of Kings, it's been a bumpy relationship over the years though, because in the 2000s I bought a book called Riff Kills Man by Mr. Martin Popoff, and as Tim knows, he gave this album a pretty weak review in that book. And I let him kind of color my opinions on a lot of things for a while, and I kind of disowned this album for a while, but I'm back in love. Sport of Kings, one of my favorite Triumph albums.
Tim's laughing.
What other album were we talking about? No, it was Thunder 7, wasn't it?
It was Triumph in general that Martin was really down on in that
he
book.
just doesn't like them.
No, but he really didn't like this.
Someone from Toronto. That's shocking to me.
Yeah. Mike's kind of like a lump of clay. He's very malleable.
A lump of clay.
A good-looking lump of clay.
Like a bad X.
Bad X.
Oh boy. Just have to go back to her, huh?
Well, it's a good album. It really is. I mean, do you want me to continue? I can.
Yeah, continue.
All right. Well, I'll just continue. I like the production by Mike Klink. I know that's something Martin probably would disagree with me on, but I find it very. It was contemporary, right? It was strong for the time. Everything's nice and clean. There's punchy guitars, good sounding drums. However much of that is samples and whatnot, I don't know, but I find the production on this to be a pleasant listen. I would say I like a good solid, I'm going to call it 10 songs because one's an instrumental. I'm going to give it like an 8 out of 10 as far as the number of songs that I like on this album versus dislike or are indifferent to. I don't like the cover. This is the remastered CD. I don't like that cover. I think the cassette had a different cover, didn't it, Tim?
Nope.
No, it didn't?
Just cropped.
Okay. Just cropped, but it gives it kind of a different feel. And what is that? I've always thought, what is that? A horse race track?
Yes. I guess it's like
race track
with a deck of cards. It's weird.
Right. So we're racing tarot cards on a horse track is what I'm
That's
guessing.
the Sport of Kings. I don't know.
I guess. I like the tarot motif, but I don't think it was executed so well on the front cover. But on the inside cover here, we have the 3 cards representing the 3 guys from Triumph. That's better. That would have made it better. Tim, better front cover right here, maybe?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Anyway,
that's it. Columbia House stamps. Wow. Yeah.
Nice.
Sorry, what's that?
One of the commenters said they still have sheets of stamps that Columbia House gave up for the uniform.
Oh,
right. That's about the time I joined Columbia House when I'll take that one and that one.
That's right. I remember doing that. Doing that.
Oh, poor Martin.
Hey, I mean, when you're 20 odd years old,
Martin's a friend of ours. We just don't agree on everything.
I thought he likes April wine.
Not particularly, I don't think.
No.
Anyway, I don't know. Do you want me to keep
Yeah, keep.
How do you want to do this?
I don't know if you want to go song by song, talk about
I
each
think
song.
we should pass it to Tim before we go song by song.
Okay.
Monopolize all the time.
Okay. I'll go to Tim then.
Cool. Thank you guys for having me. This is cool. I really enjoyed revisiting this album. I have no problem with commercial sounding rock music. It doesn't offend my ears or my sensibilities. So that fall of '86 was a big year, a big time for music for me. That's Bon Jovi's Slippery When Wet came out, so I was looking for songs that were anthemic and had some heavy, not heavy, but hard rock production. And I was already somewhat aware of Triumph. I would have had Much Music since the beginning of the year at that time, and Much Music was always very supportive of Canadian artists. They always played Follow Your Heart, and see the live videos for Fight the Good Fight, and they play the clip of Magic Power from the US Festival. And so I was familiar with the band, but yeah, they put somebody's out there.
Oh, that's a weird cover.
Yeah, this is single sleeve. Actually, this is a US one, and it's a promo.
Wow.
Because if it was the retail, it would have had the rainbow MCA logo. No, problem number one is MCA is a crappy label. That's been well established, because there's no reason this album shouldn't be their biggest album. I mean, how do you tell a crappy record company? Well, when a band has their highest charting single, but their lowest charting album, that's a crappy record company not doing the job. My opinion. And it's funny, like this isn't the original cassette that I have. This is a Columbia House cassette. Wow. You can tell by the CRC on here. So
that would be the one I had. That would be the one I had.
And actually, I had a hard time before the Triumph reissues came out in mid 90s, 95 is when I first started seeing them. I had a hard time. Sport of Kings was the last Triumph album I couldn't find on CD. No, Sport of Kings did not do well in the USA.
No. Stamped, yes. He bought it with me.
No, but this one was, I was in Columbia House and they had a sale on their CDs, and I was so excited to see this. Now, this is just a US retail MCA disc, but Columbia House of Canada had it in the catalog, and I couldn't get on it quick enough because it was rare. It was out of print. So I thought this album was fantastic. I thought this had everything that a rock band needed to get on the radio in fall of '86. If they'd have been on CBS or Polygram or Warner Brothers, they probably would have had at least a gold record. Somebody's out there peaked at 27 on Billboard. Now, I don't have it in front of me how it did in Canada. The video got a ton of play on Much Music. And, somebody's out there to me, all that needed was a soundtrack to be on, because that was a perfect anthemic movie soundtrack, and I say this with respect and with because I like the band. It could have been a Survivor song, and I love Survivor. So now, did it sound like Triumph of old? It was undeniably Rick Emmett, so yes, it did sound like Triumph of old. They always wrote anthemic songs. Yes, this was very much more commercially minded, but they have already been kind of steering that way. I don't know. We're gonna go track by track, right? My experience with it is I probably first bought the cassette in '89, and it was that was the year I got all the Triumph albums that I could find at the time. I didn't know about the first two. That's a whole other story. But I like the album. I still like the album. I can see where some people might think it's a little bit dated. Yes, there are some outside songwriters on here, but I think it's a very well produced album. It's very high fidelity, sounds good with headphones. Gil's drums are well recorded. And to Mike's point, I think there's one song on here that's a drum machine. I think the rest of it sounds to me like live drums, as opposed to their next album that I think is all electronic drums. So yeah, I think they did well on the mainstream rock chart, but the only song that charted in the top 40 in the States was Somebody's Out There, which is a shame. There's 3 or 4 songs on here that they could have had hits with, that were commercial and catchy enough. So I don't know. I guess we'll come back around, but that's my initial thought. I don't have any problem with this album. Yes, I think the album cover stinks.
I can see that, Byron. Yeah.
So okay,
Hey,
so this is where, and I say this with all due respect, did well with the ladies in the U.S. because the single, the guys thought it was not heavy enough. This guy didn't give a shit. I liked what I heard. I was never like Mike, all Mr. Macho, and it's gonna be ooh 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 ooh. Listen, I don't know who we were talking about. We were talking about somebody. I'm like, hey, Mr. Macho. Oh no, I wanted long, guys. You have no idea. I wanted long hair so bad, but
I did.
I couldn't do it.
No, you never had it.
My hair grows
Go to a mullet
instead of down. Like I've got really curly hair. It would have been a mess. I would look
an
like
afro.
One time I was hanging out with my buddy Peter at the beach, and this was when my hair was at its longest, and my sister, unbeknownst to me, was also at the beach, and she saw us and she goes, "Oh wow, look, Peter's got a girlfriend." And then I turned around. It was me.
Imagine my surprise.
Oh boy.
Shall we go track by track?
The 80s was a lot of
We
hair.
should go something.
Should I go first?
Yeah, we should go
What do you want to do? Go me, Logan, Tim, Sydney, or
Yep.
what?
Yeah.
Tears in the Rain.
Yep.
Tears in the Rain. Great song. When I first heard this album, I thought that's a single. That's easily a single. I love that kind of I don't know what that sample. Dun, dun. I think it's a sequencer. Bam, 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 bam. And then the guitar comes in. Rick Emmett, man, he's got a knack for just writing some good chords and good riffs. I love Tears in the Rain. It's a Gilmour sung track, but I think it's brilliant. I really do. I think it's totally single worthy. Tim mentioned that there's at least 4 singles on this album. We might make an argument for 5. As far as I'm concerned, Tears in the Rain. What's that?
I said at least.
At least you did, to be fair. I love it. There's some really good Gilmour stuff on this album. I think that he doesn't get enough credit as a lead vocalist, and Tears in the Rain is ample proof of that. I think it's a great song. Guitar solo, everything about it, brilliant. End story. On to Logan.
So just quickly, this song, Tears in the Rain, got to 23 on the Billboard mainstream rock chart. For what
it was a single?
Mainstream rock would play album tracks. So
okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
It's on one of the greatest hits compilations, isn't it?
Yep. Classics.
On classics.
Yeah. So basically what I said about that song kind of starts the album off a little different than previous albums from them. It's got that like staccato keyboard that Mike was talking about. I love that guitar riff, like Mike was saying, and some heavy drums. I love when, Gil always had a knack for making memorable like drum parts, I guess, really fit into the song. And, he leads the track off singing, and that's got a great chorus to it. Love Rick's solo, kind of got some speedy scale work a little bit. And it's got a catchy chorus. And I said that this is a different Triumph from, older records, but still this song has great energy in it. It makes for an awesome album opener. And I said a song tailor-made for radio play. So that's what I thought about Tears in the Rain.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's a great song, actually. Yeah, it's a great way to start the album. I like that. Yeah, the keyboard intro, I don't know if you hear it, doesn't it kind of remind you a little bit of Flash by Queen?
A little bit. Same kind of tempo.
That sort of tempo. It just reminds me of that. And I've always thought that was cool. I thought that was a great song. Yeah, that Tears in the Rain I don't mind the keyboard thing throughout it. That song it's a really cool song. And yeah, the guitar work is still amazing song.
One of the heavier ones.
One of the heavier, I guess you could say heavier. It's probably my second favorite on the album, but yeah, we'll get into that. So back to Tim.
It's funny because the order that I got the Triumph albums in, I think Sport of Kings was one of the last. So Classics came out in spring of '89, and I didn't know. It was one of those things. You go to Sam the Record Man, just look through stuff, and I see this black cover with a mask on it. I'm like, oh, what's that? And it just come out, which was fun. So I bought it. And Tears in the Rain is the first song in there, and it's the only I'd never heard it before. I'd never heard that song, and I'd never heard I Live for the Weekend because I hadn't bought Progressions of Power yet. But yeah, Tears in the Rain, it's just, I got to tell you, it's made for DJs to talk over the intro. The intro is perfect for that. And I'm just looking on Discogs, and Tears in the Rain was only ever put out as a promo single. So it was never released to retail as an actual single, which to me is an oversight. And like I said, MCA sucks. You know, some friends of ours, Peter Kerr and Davey Creedon, you know, talked at length about how MCA kind of screwed their bands. And this is good evidence of it because, I mean, and they're not only that, they're losing themselves money because they could have made some money off of this band by putting out more than 2 videos from this album. This is 1986 for crying out loud.
Yeah.
You give them 2 videos.
You had bands where every song had a video on their album. Some cases.
So,
Yeah, well, in hard rock bands' cases, in 1986, we were hitting a 3 video minimum.
Yeah, it's anyway. So yeah, Tears in the Rain, I think, is a great song. This one's band written. There was a lot of tension in this band. If you read Rick Emmett's book, there was a whole lot of tension in this band.
Yeah.
Gilmore was actually taking singing lessons because he really wanted to get in on more of the singles. But I've always liked the combo of those two because they sound so completely different, but you just know it's Triumph and you hear it. It's like Night Rangers, like Jack Blades and Kelly Keagy. They don't sound the same, but their vocal blend is so good. Yeah, I just think this is a great song. One thing that Gil was really good at, Gil was not, I mean, he's not a drum virtuoso, but he would do those big tom fills, and he'd always have the toms just tuned perfectly. Like he'd always really lean into those big fills. So yeah, it's a great way to open. I think there might be one song in this album that if we had a meter, I would put one higher on the heavy meter, but this is a great opener.
Awesome.
Great, cool. So back to Mike.
Somebody's out there. So this was my gateway into this album. It was really weird. Like, this album came out in 86, but I didn't see the music video until like 88. So it was weird how that happened. Like, I almost didn't know that this album existed. But I love that song. That guitar lick, that it's immediately catchy. And then the lyrics were just like, it was almost like an ode to any high school kid that was, looking for their first girlfriend. Somebody's out there somewhere. But it's just a really, really nice, upbeat, catchy song. Every single note counts. The guitar solo is melodic simplicity, but it's perfect. I shouldn't say melodic simplicity. Rick Emmett throws a lot of technique in there, just subtle stuff. Even if it may seem like he's playing a simple melody, there's a lot of stuff going on with the technique that makes that melody speak differently. Not much else to say, really, except that Tim's right. This album should have been huge. That single should have been as big as a Bon Jovi single. The video should have been everywhere. There's no excuse for the fact that video that didn't cross my path for 2 years. Why did Much Music not play that video so frequently that I had seen it from day one? Why is Tim? I don't understand what Tim's laughing about. I guess let's let Tim speak, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know what he's getting at there with his very expressive face.
They played that all the time, Mike. All the freaking time. It was on the Pepsi, that was on the countdown. Sometimes I think Mike's full of crap when he says he was watching Much Music as early as he was. I think he just found a bunch of VHS tapes. No, that video was in heavy rotation. Do not listen to this man. He's wrong on this point. They played Somebody's Out There to the point I almost got sick of it. I'd see that opening with the Conservatoire. I'm like, oh, come on. Got play a different Triumph video. Love you, Mike. Yeah. No, but it did get a lot of play. It did.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I could go without ever hearing that song ever again. It's kind of like
I didn't say that. I'm just
for me personally, but yeah,
for the
played so much.
That first 2-3 months that it was out, it was really heavy rotation. Yeah, and for some reason, and this is weird, it only peaked at 84 in Canada, which is dumb.
That's strange.
That's really dumb.
It was really contemporary sounding.
Yeah,
I mean, it should have been.
I mean, like I said, just about any other label would have heard that and said, there we go. We got top 10, you know?
Yeah.
And the album did go platinum in Canada, so but not in the States. It hit 33 on the Billboard album chart, but it never certified, which there's something wrong. Like, by virtue of having a top 30 single, you should have a gold album. And they were always a good, like, even at that point, they were still a good concert draw.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like I'm giving Mike a lot of crap. It's because I am.
He always does.
We're breaking the Canadian connection in half.
Yep.
Well, I can't
right
help that
now.
he's wrong.
Oh, we got the East Coast and Ontario here. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
I'm really nervous about going forward, but let's go forward.
Don't worry, you haven't got more video. You've only got one more video to talk about, but we'll get there.
Logan, what do you think on somebody's out there?
I definitely hear the Journey Survivor thing that like Tim was talking about earlier. It's got that guitar line that starts it, you know. Kind of look at this song kind of like as another single, like Tears in the Rain would be, which obviously it was. But you know, just another one of those motivational, kind of inspirational tracks they do in that AOR rock vein, kind of. And you know, AOR isn't a bad term for me, so you know, this is an okay song. I don't mind it. The video is pretty crazy. I mean, with the whole binoculars and Rick spying on women working out. I don't know how good. I don't know how good that aged. You know,
Didn't pick up on that back when I was a kid.
It's like Rod Stewart Infatuation. You ever seen
Oh
that?
no, not again.
Great song, but the video hasn't aged well, and he's total peeping Tom in that.
Oh, gosh.
But yeah, I like it. You know, Rick's vocals is pretty killer, and you know when the band's in the video, I like the Gil's trying to look all cool with the shades, and you know, I wear my sunglasses at night kind of deal. But yeah, cool song.
Oh, yeah. Then again, this is something that reminds me of something else. That little keyboard thing at the beginning reminds me of Lorelei by Styx.
Good call. Yeah,
I
similar.
think Lorelei is a way better song, personally. I love that song. But yeah, this is.
Oh,
It does remind me that little that do 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 do.
It's that circular. Yeah, it's a very circular kind of melody, and yeah, it's probably programmed in and then looped.
Yeah. So like I'm not crazy about it, but yeah, that should have been like a #1 hit. You hear that and you would think that's just some song that's been on the radio on every radio station in the world, but nope. It was played on the radio at first, but like it wasn't as big as it should have been.
Hear me out here, but the Darkness could do their spin on that song, and they could put it out today.
Oh God.
Well, I'll tell you, you'd need somebody like Justin Hawkins to hit those notes.
Yes, yeah, but I could picture him doing
That's a
that.
little ridiculous.
Man, I think Mike's reached his vocal quota, hasn't he?
Oh, there's more coming, buddy.
Oh,
we didn't even get to Montrose yet. Just wait.
By the way, did you know there is a Styx connection?
oh, yeah, I kind of, sort of. How Rick was offered to them Yankees.
Yeah,
That's right.
I didn't know that until I read Rick's book. I can't picture Rick Emmett and Ted Nugent in the same band.
Mike Levine was also offered a
In the
spot.
same room. I can't even imagine them in the same.
Mike Levine was asked as well.
And that's the funny thing, what I like about Triumph. I mean, you see their videos, Rick and Gil, they kind of play the part. Then there's Mike and his hockey jerseys and his long hair and his mustache. He never changed his looks.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah. He said something like, you already got 4 guitar players. Isn't this a little bit overkill? Like, what do you need me for?
Yeah.
Like,
He was also offered Boston, Journey.
Boston. Yep. He was offered a lot of. Yeah. So what's next?
You want to tell us what rules your heart, Mike?
Yeah, sure. Funny story. Talking about high school and stuff, I met my first girlfriend in 1989, and there's that period of time where you're searching for your song with your girl. And my buddy Bob grabs my Triumph album and he's going through the song titles. Goes, "Hey, how about What Rules My Heart for your song?" And I'm like, no, that's a song about cheating on somebody and apologizing. I don't think it's necessarily one of the best songs in the album, but it's a decent one. It's got some punch to it in that chorus. What rules my heart? Go down, down, down. You know, it's got some punch to it. But it is about infidelity. Has the kind of soft ballady verses before you get into that punchy chorus. I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily the greatest lyric that they've ever written. I don't think it's the best song. That one hook in it, I don't like when he sings, I didn't mean to do it. I don't know. I just don't like that. It doesn't sound good to me. I don't know why you laugh every time I sing. Other people sing on other shows and they don't get laughed at. Anyway, I don't really have a lot to say about the song, except it's a good song for the middle of side one. I think there's better songs both before and after it, as we will get to.
All right. So, want me to go into it?
I guess I don't even know if have we been going in any real order here?
No,
I don't think we have. It's been all
we've
over
been
the-
going in order in terms of the track listing.
Yeah. We haven't been going in order besides that, but
No, I guess okay. We'll try to stick with Mike, Tim, Logan, then me. So yeah, we'll go to Tim now.
Nice.
Can I sing something? I don't know about that.
He could sing Midsummer's Daydream like us.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh
A
God.
lot of guitar noises.
All right. So what rules your heart, Tim?
So this song, this was like the version of the Somebody's Out There that I've got here is a promo. So it's the same song on both sides. But What Rules My Heart was the official B-side. And I kind of agree with what you guys said. It sounds like a B-side. Now, one thing I like about it is that it's one of those songs, AC/DC would do this, where the riff would start, but until the rest of the band kicks in, you don't know where one is. You know what I mean? Like you don't know where the beat's going to fall. So it kind of does that. It's a heavy riff. It's okay. It's okay. I don't skip it. I think it's okay, but it's kind of an awkward title.
For a heavier song, yeah, it's kind of a
yeah, but it's not bad, but it's I can see why it wasn't chosen as a single. It was also co-written by the three band members and somebody named B. Maloney and Jay Huff.
Yep.
Know who that I don't know who those people are, which makes me wonder if it wasn't an outside song, because there were a lot of outside songs presented to them, some that didn't make the album, that they kind of said, well, how do we make this a Triumph song? And maybe that's when the heaviness came into it. Could have been a straight up pop song. So I don't really have much more to say about it. I think it's okay.
Yeah. I'm kind of feeling the same way here as you guys, but I really like Gil's vocals on this track, though. I mean,
yes,
I think you can tell, like, I didn't know about the whole vocal training that Tim was talking about, but he kind of has a different style vocal on this album to me. Kind of a little more, kind of emotional, and on this song, at least, kind of like more passion filled, I guess.
I always liked Gil's vocals. I always thought he had a great voice.
He didn't typically do ballads, really, right? So he didn't take ballads weren't typically his thing. So
yeah. So he's trying something different on this album, kind of, I guess.
Yeah.
The keyboard overtones on this, it's got sets like a good mood for the song. I like the acoustic guitar in the background at certain parts. It's kind of a decent track to me. I really like Rick's solo on this track. And I mentioned
Hey, Ernesto.
Washboard and push combo. Dang. Don't make me go downstairs and find that. But yeah. I mean, it's just a little bit heavier rock ballad kind of fare for Gil. But I do think the third and the What Rules My Heart and the next song we're going to talk about, they do kind of feel like B-sides to the first two songs to me in a way. Kind of, if you ever put them out as a single like that, it would make sense. But that's about all I had to say about that one. It's an okay track.
Well, I guess I'm alone in this. I actually really like the song. I don't know. I like the riff. I like the melody of it. I find it's kind of memorable. I
Yeah.
feel like it maybe should have been a hit. I don't know. I enjoy it. I think I gravitate towards Gil, oddly enough. But yeah, I think it's a solid song. Good, memorable chorus. It's got that good heavy. It's a heavy enough song. It's got that cool riff throughout it. It is a weird title for a song that's one of the more hard rock songs on the album.
Yep.
But
Makes you think you're getting ready for a ballad already.
yeah, you look at that and you're like, oh, it's gonna be like some wimpy ballad, and then it's like, oh, okay, it's kind of just a rock song. Just it's good though. So then yeah, we get to what's next? If Only. So head on over to Mike for If Only.
So we're heading to a point of the album where it's like I get really psyched for a whole bunch of songs in a row, and If Only sort of the first of that batch. I love this song. Could have been a single, should have been a single, would have been a hit. It has those nice, very, very Rick Emmett acoustic verses. The lyrics are very Rick Emmett, if only I could change the world with just a simple song. These are very much the hippy dippy kind of lyrics that Martin Popoff used to complain about. But I love it. I mean, like, that's Triumph, right? They're that optimistic kind of band. They're not singing songs about nuclear holocaust. They're singing songs about if only I could change the world with just a simple song. And then you hit the chorus and it hits you like a punch with that, if only. And it's there's a neat little kind of synth part that's backing the whatever's going on there on the chorus. I love everything about this song. The verses, the chorus, the solo, the lyrics. I think it's fully pun intended. I think it's a total triumph for Rick Emmett, this song. Again, it should have been a single, and if it had been, I think it would have been a hit with the right record company backing it, and the album just keeps going from here at this point.
Yeah. If only it was a single, right?
Oh boy. Oh, yep. We're gonna tap dance over to Tim now.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's not one of my favorites, but it's okay. It's definitely melodic. It's just never been one of my favorites. And again, awkward song type, If Only. Like, it just doesn't sound like a rock song to me. There are some, I get stuck on titles like that. Like, one of the most awkward ones to me is on the Don Dokken solo album, Up From the Ashes, When Some Nights. Like, that's an awful title. So, When Some Nights. When Some Nights you are lonely. Like, I don't. But If Only kind of strikes me in that. But, I mean, Rick's a great vocalist. Hit some insane high notes on this one. I don't think I like this album as much as Mike does. I don't hate it, but this is not where I get excited for a list of songs. So.
What's Mike doing?
He's giving him the stare down.
How dare you?
He made Mike leave.
He went to go listen to If Only.
I've done that. I've done that before. I can clear a room.
Oh.
Well, you want me to go in?
Nuclear Holocaust goes, probably the closest Rick came to singing about nuclear holocaust would have been Carry on the Flame from Surveillance.
Sorry, I just needed to step away there for a second. If I need to do it, I've still got my headphones on. If I step away, I'm still following the conversation. So just so you know.
All right.
Okay.
Davies in there, friggin' MCA. Yeah, the music cemetery of America, man.
There you go. They should have covered Working for MCA by Skinner.
Pants on the ground. I haven't heard that in a long time.
Oh, boy. All right, Logan, how's your thoughts on If Only?
I like the layered guitar work on this track, especially at the start. Like the solo on the song, nothing too complicated, but Rick always kind of finds ways to make short, compact solos and make them still interesting, like on this one. I like the layered vocals, like towards the end of the song too. I'm sure that's probably all Rick. I don't think Gil's helping him there at all. But yeah, and what Mike was saying, like when it gets a little heavier with the If Only, I wouldn't say it's heavy, but it gets
punchy was the word I used. Punchy.
Yeah, punchy. Yeah, like you want to punch Tim right now. But
but yeah, many times over, I'm sure.
Yeah, I like the layered vocal, like what I was saying. Rick goes for that higher vocal register with the guitars in the fade out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an okay track. I mean, it's not one of my favorites, but it's okay. So that's all I had.
Okay. Yeah, this is sorry, Mike, but this is the song I skipped. For me, I heard this, I'm like, if only the song would end. That's
Cutting that Canadian content down.
sorry. I don't know. It's not. I can't. It's too. I don't know. Like his voice is great. Like even on bad songs, Rick's voice is still good. It's just I can't. It's not. I can't listen. It's just too. I don't know. Soft. I guess. I don't know. I just find it lacks the energy of other Triumph songs for me. I don't know. It's just. Mike's like, I'm done.
He's about to walk away again.
Don't worry. Right now you're soft, but you're gonna get hard, sweet, and sticky after.
Yeah, I'm walking away so I can take a sip of my little vodka bottle over there. Hooked on You, ending side 1. I love this song. As I said earlier, there's a bunch of songs in a row that I love here. This is the one that's the duet with Rick and Gil, isn't it?
Yeah.
Love duets with bands that have 2 lead singers. They don't seem to happen that frequently. With Kiss, they don't happen all that frequently. With Triumph, I don't know how many songs Rick and Gil sing co-lead vocals like this on, but it can't be very many. Tim's doing the math.
Just maybe
Killing
3.
Yeah,
Hooked on You. That's all I can really think of.
Absolutely love it when they do that. I think Rick's solo on this is really cool and different. He does a lot of the jazzy side of Rick Emmett starting to come in on this album a little bit more, and we're hearing some really cool tones on his lead guitar, but this is just a basic hooky, pun intended, rock and roll upbeat song. And my favorite part of the song, aside from the part where they do the shotgun part, my favorite part of the song is Mike Levine has a very rare bass spotlight moment where he does that do 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 do. It's really nice. It's really cool, and he doesn't get enough spotlight stuff. I mean, when you think about it, he's kind of the backbone of the band, not just being the bass player, but also being the keyboard player. So
and the business side
and the business side. But musically, I'm speaking of. He's also the keyboard player. So you do get a lot of his backbone with Triumph. They use a lot of backing keyboards that maybe you're not even are aware they're there sometimes. But anyway, it's a moment for him to have just a minute in the spotlight, and I love it. And I love Hooked on You. And if Tim gives me shit this time, I'm gonna go get my vodka bottle again.
he'll get it anyway.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah. So did this song hook you in, Tim?
I like the song. Yeah, I do like the song, but I've a sidebar to it is that of all the obscure songs, I just want to mention something real quick. I can mention it next time. I just did a little bit of research. Hooked on You will always remind me of. I used to play drums, and at a brief point, I used to be in a little band. And our guitar player had this cassette. He didn't have a lot of, he wasn't a huge Triumph fan. He had this cassette. And for some reason, we would kind of get on this thing where we'd say, hooked on it, hooked on phonics. Because there used to be commercials for basically, if you couldn't speak, hooked on phonics works for me, it'll work for you. So this song forever became hooked on it, hooked on phonics. It's got nothing to do with the actual song. I think it's a perfectly good rock song. Maybe one of the songs that, unlike most of them, would have fit in on an earlier one, but I like it.
Yeah. Yep. I about had the same thing as what you guys have said, pretty much. One of the more rocking songs on the album, and I really like when Rick and Gil trade off vocals together. Wish they would have done that more, but is what it is, I guess.
Opportunity lost, Logan. Opportunity lost.
Egos and things might have gotten in the way there, maybe a little bit. I don't know, but yeah. Mike gets. I mentioned that little bass break that Mr. Ladano mouthed for us. But yeah, the main riff. I don't think the main riff is really anything special, but you know, it works for the song. I think Rick plays some slide in this song too.
Yep.
Not, yeah. I think it's the only time on this record he does. But
I think
yeah,
you're right.
yeah. And the band kind of lays down like a funk groove, like towards the end of it. Kind of, it's kind of weird, kind of different for them. You know, I said the same thing about Nature's Child, like the beginning of that when we were talking about that. They're kind of doing like a funk kind of groove. So yeah, it's a pretty good track. That might be my favorite one on side one, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably agree on that. Yeah, I think it's a great song. Yeah, I do like that little slide thing. Sounds like it could have been on like maybe Allied Forces or Thunder 7. It does sound like one of the older. You almost wonder, like, was this a song that they had already and they just kind of. That's just weird because it doesn't fit with the rest of the album. It stands out a lot.
It is kind of an outlier, yeah.
Like it stands out so much with the slide guitar. Everything else is just more like commercial hard rock. This is just kind of like this older sounding. Yeah, especially I love how they go back and forth on the vocals. I love when they did that. They should have done that a lot more. Yeah, great song. I got hooked on it when I heard it, pun intended. Yeah, it's a fun song. That song's always in my head. Like whenever I think of Sport of Kings, that's the song I think of, and it sticks in your head. So yeah, it's a good song. So then back to Mike, and it's time for him to take a stand and defend.
Yeah. So this is like the third song in a row that I really, really love. That kind of chugging muted, that was very popular in the 80s. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, yes, one of these kind of songs.
Yeah.
And then Rick comes in with sort of an understated lead vocal. We're kind of breaking the song in slowly, and then he starts letting loose a little bit more. And then finally the chorus, it's another one of those ones where the chorus just kind of punches you in. The drums here sound very kind of sampled, maybe. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
It's hard to tell. Either way, like this album is very glossy. It's very well produced. It's a Ron Evison. Ron Evison was very glossy. He did The Ultimate Sin by Ozzy Osbourne the same year. He was about to do Kiss. And those albums all have a certain kind of sheen in common, a certain shine in the production. But I like Take a Stand. I don't think it's necessarily I think it could have been a single. I think it could have been. Not necessarily the second or third single, more like a fifth or a sixth single. But I think it could have been a single. Yeah.
All right.
So Tim's turn to take a stand.
It's
getting corny now.
It's an anthem, but I don't think it's one of their best anthems. It's okay.
Yeah.
This song too was co-written by, I've looked up their names, James Brian Maloney and James Richard Huff. And the only other place where I see their names is on another Triumph song from way back, What's Another Day of Rock and Roll.
Really?
Debut album. Now, these songs sound nothing alike
No.
whatsoever. For some reason, I had it in my head that Rick Santers co-wrote this song, but I'm wrong. Maybe he sings on it. Because they had Rick Santers as a second guitar player around this time. But I guess not. And by the way, I have to say this. Yes, Ron Nevison was going to produce this album, but in the end, it ended up being Mike Klink and engineered by Tom Trumbo. Which is why I think it sounds better than a lot of Ron Nevison's productions.
Tim, check this out. Keyboards and synthesizer programming. Scott Humphrey is one of the names.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even Mike.
He's from Kitchener, Ontario, where I live, and we talked about him a lot in one of the Motley Crue episodes.
I was going to say he had a lot to do with Generation Shite.
And he played keyboards on the Black Album by Metallica.
That's him. Stuff. Okay, so he's in the Year and a Half in Life Metallica video.
That's him. Yeah.
Okay.
And as I've said before, he's a local kind of semi-hero here.
There's three keyboardists listed on the album.
Yeah. I mean, it's not unique. There's lots of programming going on. But Take a Stand is okay. I mean, it's not my favorite, but it's okay. As always, Rick sings it well. No complaints.
Logan, your thoughts?
I gotta take a stand for this song because I really like this song. All right.
Okay.
It's got, like Mike was talking, the palm muted guitar notes and some hanging guitar chords before like Rick's vocal comes in, breaks in some cool dynamics, you know, with the, like Mike was talking about, you know, quieter verses, in your face choruses. um, but yeah, just like I said, it's total 80s rock cheese, but I love every second of it.
So you're saying it's Gouda?
I zoomed out. Yeah, I zoomed out for a second.
Oh, oh
But
boy.
like Tim was saying with somebody's out there, this kind of sounds like it could be a soundtrack kind of song or some deal.
Yeah, this is all it's missing is a montage,
Yeah.
montage.
Yeah. This should have been in one of the Rocky movies.
I like
Yeah.
Exactly.
really like
Definitely more
the solo
Velveeta
on
than
this song too is pretty
Knockwurst.
cool. Oh,
Cheese
the
discussion.
solo on
There
the
we
song's
go.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's a pretty decent
yeah.
song. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, that riff, that little chugga chugga riff. Again, I'm always like, when I hear music, for whatever reason, I'm always comparing. I don't know why. I'm always like, oh, this sounds like, for me, I hear that Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks. It's that same sort of, that's what it reminds me of the most when it comes like that. Yeah. Which I always thought was cool. I kind of like that sort of thing. And yeah, it's catchy chorus. It could have been used, like I said, like in a Rocky movie or an 80s movie. Just, yeah, like Logan said, it's cheesy, but like it would have fit in well in like some cheesy 80s movie. But like it's a pretty decent song. Yeah. I think it's one of the stronger songs on the album. I actually do like that song. It's a decent song.
Yeah. Now take it away to Mike, right?
Mike to oh boy, Just One Night.
Right. So I gave the boys a really good vocal rendition of this song before we started rolling, which fortunately people don't have to hear. But this is probably, I'm going to say, my favorite song in the album. Although, as Tim will tell you, it is not necessarily my favorite version of my favorite song in this album, because there's one version that you can't buy. And to my knowledge, you can't buy it. But we'll talk about that. I'll let Tim handle that. This song was co-written by Eric Martin, later of Mr. Big. And I can really hear Eric singing it. I can really hear his voice. But man, Gil knocks this one out of the park. There's a shitty re-recorded version that they did on their greatest hits remixed album. Don't even listen to it. Don't even listen to it. It's a shadow. It is a mockery of what this song is, which is a magnificent ballad, power ballad. It has all the right qualities of the power ballad. It's got that nice keyboard melody that you needed in the 80s for a power ballad. And then when the chorus comes, it has the power. No, Mike Livy. No, it's just really bad. They obviously re-recorded the vocals much later on the re-recorded version. I just really love the song. I always have. There was a music video, and it was a really good music video. It had a lot of stuff that was technically very advanced for 1980s editing technology. And I guess that
Gil was always taking advantage of like new technology that's out there. He's very big into that.
Tim's got it. It was Van Halen did something
a lot of videos
similar
like that where you've got like the things in the background moving. Van Halen's Feels So Good
feels so good.
Mind.
Yeah,
bunch of
very
videos
similar.
were like the overlaying people over scenery and things that didn't make any sense at all. So he's climbing a ladder.
Random shapes often. Yes. But I love this song. I love it. Now, speaking of the music video, maybe I should hand it to Tim and you can explain what I was talking about when I said my favorite version. You can't buy it.
You have to get this. Because cassette singles really weren't a thing at this point. This is the single. This is a Canadian single of Just One Night. Special remixed version, remixed by a guy named Humberto Gatica. Look his name up. Everybody from Michael Jackson to he's the remixer of the Stars. And this is the version that I was expecting to hear when I first got Sport of Kings, and was like, oh, that's different. I mean, it's the same song, but it's just different. In the second verse, there are floor tom hits that you expect to hear. There will never let this moment pass. Like and you just don't get that on the album version. And it sets the scene for the do, 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 do. Like just those big, simple fills. I'm going to agree with I love this song. You call it a guilty pleasure, call it whatever you want. I don't care. I love this song. This is a fantastic song. Should have been a huge hit. It only peaked, I looked it up, it only peaked at 33 in Canada. Didn't chart at all in the States. Boo, MCA. They gave you a friggin' top 10 hit at a time when rock bands were having songs like this, top 10. Like, and yeah, I thought they had a golden opportunity on that remixed greatest hits to restore this remix version, and they didn't. Instead, they should have just left it off. It almost sounds like they're making fun of the song. How hard is it to sing the friggin' word "wondered"? Nothing against Gil, but on this, I've always wondered what. Like what? Why are you putting so much emphasis on the R? Like Cool Whip. Like no, it's awful. It's awful. And I get this was probably a song that was forced on them because it had already been recorded, and it is possible to hear an Eric Martin version of this because Eric's self-titled album in 1985, this is the last song on that album. Now, it's extremely pop, the Eric Martin version. You might say the Triumph version is. No, the Eric Martin version is even more so. Capitol did.
Really?
Yeah, Capitol had no clue what to do with it. He was a blues rock vocalist. They tried to make him a pop star, but anyway. But does he ever sing the hell out of it? I mean, it's incredible. But Guild is a perfectly good performance. The Eric Martin version is in a much higher key, but that's because he could sing in a much higher key. But I think it's a great song. Yeah, co-written with Neil Sean, who is a fellow Bay Area guy, and a guy named Tony Finucci, who I when I look him up, I don't see a lot of songs that I recognize, but he would collaborate with Eric Martin a few times. He co-wrote the song "I Can't Stop the Fire," which is on Eric did on the Teacher's soundtrack. Mike, I believe, has a single called "Information."
That's right. I bought the Information single this past summer in Toronto.
He co-wrote that song, which was actually a top 100 single. But he also co-wrote a couple songs from Bump Ahead album, Colorado Bulldog and Temperamental. He co-wrote If That's What It Takes from Hey Man. So, yeah, kind of neat. But I love the Triumph version. The first video I remember Much Music playing was a live version from the concert, I believe, that they recorded in Halifax on the Sport of Kings tour. But then they replaced it with a concept video. Maybe there was some bottlenecking going on where they didn't release it at the right time and it lost momentum. But to me, this was a shoo-in for a top 10 single in 1987. It just plays like one. It plays like one of those songs that radio will play the crap out of now, like on like oldie stations, and you'd be like, oh man, I wish they play a different song. It's deserving of that, but it just didn't happen. But it's a shame. Totally could have been a hit. And yeah, there's probably a name for that video style, but there are other ones where you've got things going at different speeds against different backgrounds. Tears for Fears, Sowing the Seeds of Love is like that. Motley Crue, Without You is like that, kind of. Yeah, Van Halen, Feels So Good. That's not a very well-known example, but yeah, it's like those when you were a little kid, like you'd get these. Well, Mike's old, he'll know. You'd get these like television sets that you'd have to crank, and there'd be like water, but there'd be like a boat going across, and there'd be like a sun, but they'd all be going at different speeds. That's kind of what they figured out how to do with videos. So yeah, Mike's actually not that much older than me, so this is. Just remember, a lot of these are jokes. Just One Night, great song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty much agree with what you guys have said. I enjoy this track for what it is. Got a great Gil vocal, I think. Very emotion filled, and Rick keeps his solo pretty simple for this tune, kind of. I noticed he double tracks his guitar line before he breaks into another section. Carrier pigeon. But yeah, I'm a sucker for these AOR style ballad kind of songs. I mean, I like this kind of stuff. And I said I'll get the lighter out to this song anytime.
Yeah, I'd get the lighter out burn it from existence. I'm sorry. I don't like the song. I just, I don't know. I don't like Gil doing the sappy ballads. I just don't. It
like
like
the
it
Gil
still should have been a huge hit though, because that's like this is the type of stuff that was huge in the '80s. Like, yeah, MCA really did drop the ball on a song like that. Because you hear that, you would like think this is like if Journey recorded that, it's probably a hit.
And who knows?
It's weird that Neil didn't record it.
Imagine, Mike, a world where that was on Raised on Radio.
Yeah, it would have been like a #1 hit or something. It would have been. It's really strange. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, for me, I'm sure they're my favorite band, but I like the early stuff. So this was jarring to hear this kind of thing from them. I don't know. Yeah. Mike's are gonna throw the CD at me.
I'm more just waiting for Tim to let you have it. I mean, he's been ragging on me all day. How come he's not ragging on you? I was like, well, Sydney, you're completely wrong.
Mike, do you know how cool it is that younger generations are getting into bands like Triumph?
Yeah.
So
Sydney, you're completely wrong.
I don't agree with this opinion, but
yeah, exactly. You don't have to like everything that everyone else likes, right? That's the point. You do. Oh God!
I'm gonna do the next 2 tracks as one because they kind of.
Best idea.
And Brujo's not really,
It's kind of a neat. There's a lot of Spanish guitar there. There's a lot of that kind of Latin influence, and you can tell this is the track. You can tell Rick Emmett, he's the schooled guitar player. You can tell he specifically set out to write something in this genre. It actually reminds me of some of the stuff on Innuendo by Queen 5 years later.
Yeah.
Tim knows what I'm talking about.
Like
but it works really well with Play With the Fire, which also has similar chords and melodies. This is probably my least favorite moment on the album. I'm just I'm kind of waiting to get to the next song.
Questionable, Mike.
Questionable. Yeah, well, Sydney, let's just say
well, that's the end of the show. We'll see you next week. Come back.
You've been taking tips from Grant Arthur.
Go ahead.
I mean, I don't want to come across as negative, okay? Because
no, keep going.
I'm talking about an album. I've already said I really like this album. I've already said it's an 8 out of 10 for me. I'm just saying that, even from when I first owned it in '89, for me personally, this is the moment where I'm kind of like waiting to get to the next song because the next song is really one I like a lot. But we'll probably have controversial differentiations on that too.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Sydney's turned into Grant.
Oh my!
Turn it in.
Now I forgot whose turn it is.
Every day.
It goes me, Tim, Logan, you. Counterclockwise.
How did we end up?
Yeah, I guess when you remove them and add them back, it puts them in a different. Yeah, it's weird.
So, are we not talking about Play With the Fire at this point?
Yeah, we're doing.
The two.
Like that's cool. Like the little instrumental that goes into it. Yeah.
Did you talk about Play With the Fire, Mike?
Yes.
He said he didn't like it, so I
didn't say I didn't like it. I said this is the one where I'm waiting to get to the next song.
Okay.
I still thought you were talking. Okay. Well, Mike's wrong. So, so I mean, as we know, starting with, really starting with Just a Game, Rick always had to have, a little acoustic piece on an album. I mean, I guess you could say Moonchild from Blinding Light Show. That's part of that song, but starting with Just a Game, they were always standalone tracks. He had like Petite Etude, he had Finger Talkin', he had Fantasy Serenade, Minor Prelude, my personal favorite, Midsummer's Daydream. I love that. And Ambrosio is different because it actually mixes electric with the acoustic guitar. It's kind of an Eastern melody, kind of mysterious sounding. And I don't know, is it Imbrugio or Imbrugio? I've never heard it said. I don't even know what it means. It's like somebody tried to spell embryo on their phone and the autocorrect wasn't working. Play With the Fire. Holy crap. That's the heaviest song on the album, I think.
Yeah.
I love the high. It's not harmonics, but the little high guitar melody that Rick adds to it. He is singing this with balls, man. Like he is singing this like his life depended on it, especially towards those final choruses. I really like this song. How
Oh,
Have we lost him?
yes.
I think
Disappeared.
we've lost him.
I
You
think
upset him.
Mike had something to do with it. I think Mike had something to do with that.
I don't
No.
know. I think Grant's pulling the strings somehow behind the scenes.
Oh my god.
I don't know
It's
what's going
Terror
on.
Destroyer he's made.
Harry.
Oh, there he is. Whoa. Whoa.
Mike got really mad. And anyway, when did you guys stop listening to me blather on?
You said no.
And that's what did it? Okay.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that little high guitar melody that Rick and this is his best vocal performance on the album, I think. He sings this with balls. He sings like his life depends on it. Especially those ending chords. No. See, I can't even do it. I can't even think that high. However, here's the drawback. That's definitely programmed drums on this song.
On Play with the Fire?
I think so. There's one drum fill. It's the same one every time. It's like like to my ears anyway, which is better than having an entire album with electronic drums, which I think the next one is. Now they weren't the only band to do that, but no, I think this is the heaviest song on the album. I think that I can't see where anybody who liked them previously would have a problem with this. There's nothing pop about this. This is just a forceful, I don't know. I just really like this song. It's one that's kind of snuck up on me because I didn't care for it much when I first heard it, but then someone brought it up to my attention. Play with the Fire, man. Listen to that one. I'm like, yeah, it is good. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeff says Spanish word meaning enchantment. That must be what embrujo. So how do you say it?
I looked it up.
J
It's
or Y sound?
neither. It's embrujo, like an H, like
Oh,
embrujo, like Jose, like embrujo, like yeah. Apparently.
you know what? It sounds like you ever had your dad scare you when he sneezes because it's
Sounds-
so loud.
Like
Embrujo!
where were?
Embrujo. Pardon me.
Oh. So Logan, what's your thoughts on embrujo and Play with the Fire? It's Italian now. It's not even Spanish anymore.
Italian now. Yeah. Yeah, I like Embrujo, I guess. It's got
What you call me?
Spanish styling to it. Early
Embrujo, not pendejo.
Tim's Embrujo. But yeah, he's got some nice Spanish guitar stylings. Kind of like some of the earlier guitar pieces he did. And I seen it says it must mean spell or enchantment. I wrote down it meant spell in English, but yeah, it's got kind of like a dreamy type feel to it. And I think it segues really nicely into Play with the Fire, which I'm gonna say it. This is probably my favorite song on this album. I really do like this song. Band plays pretty energetic and fast at the start of this one. Great Rick Elmick vocal. The rhythm section holds a tight groove down on this track with like big kind of arena rock chorus, in the song. And I like that. I guess it's not acoustic, that riff that Tim was talking about a little bit. That's pretty cool. Rick shows off some tapping stylings in the solo. The band kind of breaks down that section with some nice Mike Levine bass work. And I think this is his best solo. But yeah, enjoy the twists and turns it takes on from the melodic styles to really harkens back to scenes of Triumph's past, is what I said, on an otherwise forward kind of thinking album. Track in strong with some great drum fills and guitar theatrics. But yeah, it's a great track.
And regardless of what you guys think I may have said, I actually agree with everything Logan said.
But not with Tim.
I'm going to disagree with Tim on principle from now on.
It's, you know what? It's what I would do.
Yeah, and Brujo is
Going away, he's
probably,
agreeing with me.
yeah, and Brujo is probably like my favorite of the Rick little instrumental thing pieces that he does. On all out of all the, this sounds like it could have been in the city from Rock and Roll Machine.
Oh yeah,
It does kind of
Oh,
have
yeah.
that. He went back to like what he was doing in the 70s with his little classical pieces. So it kind of reminds me of that. Yeah, it's acoustic, but it's almost heavy. It's in a way the way he does it. And then yeah, leads into Play with the Fire, which is by far, it's not even a question that it's my favorite song on the album. Like that's the one that I could play over and over again and not get sick of it. I love that song. That's just a really, really, I don't think it would make my top 10 favorite Triumph songs, but it would be it would probably fall short in that, but like I still think it's an excellent song. Just great guitar playing throughout it, and Rick's voice is just phenomenal as always. Yeah, he's doing like the whole tapping in there, and it's just a great song. It's like if I guess Eddie Van Halen did like, I don't know. Yeah, this is what he was doing this is what they should have done.
Van Halen played with fire.
Yeah. Eddie Van Halen played with fire. Yeah. So then we go over to Don't Love Anybody But Me.
Yeah, here's another song title that's a little irritating.
Generic.
You know what? Again, put yourself in my shoes. 1989. I was 17 years old. Loved this song. You're too. I really like the guitar melody. It's double tracked, but not in like it's not a Thin Lizzy kind of double guitar harmony, but you can hear it. It's really nice. The lyrics are obviously about a relationship on the rocks once again. We could talk, or I could beat my head against the wall. And goddamn, haven't we all felt like that sometimes in our lives, right? Every once in a while, there's just a slice of reality in some of these Triumph songs as far as relationships go, and that's one of them. It's corny. This is a really corny song. I don't think we can deny that. I think Martin Popoff would probably vomit if he was forced to listen to this song one more time, but I like it. What can I say? It's simple. Don't love anybody else but me. Like it's almost like a very 60s kind of melody. Think about that simplicity of it. If you sang it without the kind of emotional overtones that Rick Emmett sings it with, it's almost like a children's sing-along, right? It's that simple and it's that catchy. And I really like it regardless of the corniness of it. Somebody mentioned Velveeta earlier. Gouda. Don't care. And this is what I'm talking about. When I was in my angry, maybe I just want to address this real quick because there was a lot of stuff going on in the comments about listening to critics and all kind of BS. That's not necessarily the issue. You're looking at a person that has lived through 5 decades, and I was very angry in my 30s, and I was listening to Alice in Chains and in my angry chair, and it's like, yeah, you're right. This music is crappy, wussy, wimpy, crappy. It didn't fit.
What was that accent?
It was kind of Cartman. It was kind of Cartman, wasn't it? It was a little bit, but I'm serious here. Like we all change. We all go through a life journey. Young Logan is going to go through his angry phase, and that's going to be ugly because I understand he's been working out. So, you have to understand there's more to it than just listening to a critic. You're on a personal journey, and I guarantee you there's been times in your lives where you've rejected music that you liked at a younger age. Guaranteed. It happens to everybody. That's me getting off my podium here. I Don't Love Anybody Else But Me. Always have. Bring it on. He's going to have roid rage. Uh-oh.
Better lay off that stuff, huh?
Yeah.
LC asks if I had a goth era. Yes, I did.
Oh boy.
Yes,
Any
I
pictures?
did. Yes, there are.
Oh boy.
Yes, there are.
dressed up like Marilyn Manson.
I am going to hold all questions at this point, except to say you will never see the goth era Mike photos.
Come on.
Ever.
We want goth Mike.
Guys, I'll message his sister or his mom or something. We'll get him.
Well, he probably
I'll
used
give
their
you guys the scoop.
Oh, God. He probably borrowed their eyeliner to do it.
No, I bought it at Walmart.
Oh, boy. So what? No, Tim's turn for Don't Love Anybody Else But Me.
Okay, so holy Boston Batman. This sounds like Boston. That's the twin lead guitar sound I'm thinking of, Mike. This could have been a Boston song.
Good point, Tim. Good point.
Yeah.
Which is to say, why wasn't it a hit? I would be hypocritical if I tried to wax poetic about it. I think it's super catchy, super melodic. It gets in my head. It's an awkward title. You get more than 3-4 words in the title, it just becomes cumbersome. And depending on what the words are, but I'm trying to think of how they could shorten this, and they could have just called it "Don't Love Anybody," and then the surprise would have but then the surprise would have been the delivery of the chorus, or "Don't Love Anybody Else." But I don't know. But to me, that I hear total Boston. This was a total outside song. I don't see where it was ever recorded by someone else. It was written by two guys named Rosendahl and Miller. The guy's name is Glenn Miller, but not the
Oh, so it's not that Glenn Miller. I saw that, and I'm like, Glenn Miller wrote this?
But
I thought it was maybe like a Glenn Miller cover or something. Okay. Thanks for clearing that up.
So this is another reason why MCA sucked. So it's bad, and A&M did this to Y&T as well. You go through all the trouble of getting a band to record a song that they did not write, that they did not want to cover, and you don't even put it out as a single. You suck. This could have been a hit. This could have been a hit, especially at the time. Now, would it be a song that they would have added into, assuming they'd stayed together? Would this have been a song that would have made setlist? Probably not. But unless it was a big enough hit, and then they would have had no choice. But it could have been a hit. And Rick sings it well. And I do like the overlapping guitar lines towards the end. Really reminds me of something like Peace of Mind off the first Boston album. But that's my 2 cents.
All right, perfect. Yep.
And if I didn't say it myself, I agree with Tim that this could have been a single.
Yeah. Well, Logan, do you love it?
It's okay. I don't love it, but it's definitely could have been a single. It's got that hooky chorus to it and some nice acoustic work. There's a totally. I started my notes off for the song. Boston called. They want Peace of Mind back.
Yeah,
because it sounds just like even.
I hear a little something about you as well, almost. This Boston has that sound in general, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's got a nice double track guitar solo too. It's a cool tune. I mean, I could have seen it being a hit for sure. I agree with mostly what the guys have said so far. So that's my thoughts on this one.
Yeah, pretty much same. So it's this. You're right. Sounds just like Boston, with Gil singing. Or sorry, it's no, it is Gil singing this, right? No, Rick singing.
Rick.
It's Rick. Rick sings this one. Yeah. Rick singing "Don't Love It." Yeah, it is a weird song title because it's "Don't Love Anybody But Me," but else is actually mentioned in the song when they sing it. It's anybody else but me, but the song itself is just anybody but me. There's no else.
No, there's else. There isn't a set anyway.
Yeah, there's else.
Where the hell?
Not mine. Mine's "Don't Love Anybody But Me."
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's else is definitely written.
So did they
alongside.
Did they just misprinted it on the re-release on the remastered? Like that's
That
weird.
could be a simple typo.
Well, these are not.
Maybe.
So it's written else on the cassette itself. It's written on the back of the original CD.
That's strange. So the re-releases are just gonna rock, because I always thought the song was called "Don't Love Anybody But Me," and always wondered why is it called that if
Yeah.
Elf is in the chorus.
Triumph clearly needed to hire Brian Vollmer's spell checker.
It's on the inner sleeve too of the record.
Really? Wow. Yeah, that is a strange. I wonder if it's anywhere else where it actually has the proper. Yeah.
I hope I never get caught saying shit like that, Tim, but I fucking say shit like that.
Let's see. Let's see.
Um,
Then on.
no
Let's
problem.
just, yeah. Yeah, see, okay. And then on the lyric thing, there's else is in there. Like, you can't really see that. Yeah. It says it on the lyric, so it's a misprint on the back. That's interesting. There, I could sell it and say, oh, it's a rare misprint. It's worth money. No. Yeah, no, that's a pretty good song. Yeah, pure Boston. Really catchy song. It is a really decent song. It sticks in your head. It's a really good song. So yeah, we're gonna enter into the middle of the night with
Right. So
Like-
kind of a downer ending to the album, I would say, especially an album that has so many upbeat moments.
Hmm.
But you're really hearing a lot of that jazzy, that nocturnal jazzy influence, especially on the outro.
Mhm.
I don't think this is a song that I would come back to very often. It's a little dreary.
Mhm.
But it is a good showcase for some of the things that Rick Emmett is capable of doing as far as composition, as far as performance, as far as emoting. Not a single. Actually, since this is my last song of the album, I'm just going to take a tally of how many songs in this album I think would be a single. So Tears in the Rain, 1, Somebody's
Yeah.
Out There, 2, If Only, 3, Hooked on You, 4, Take a Stand, 5, Just One Night, 6, and Don't Love Anybody Else But Me. I would say 7 singles on this
Yeah.
album, which is Def Leppard hysteria level number of singles. This is not one of them. This is, I'm not going to say a disappointing ending, because it has its Whitesnake had kind of a downer ending on 1987 too. So yeah, there's a place for stuff like this. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily jiving with me personally though. But as I said, this album's an 8 out of 10 for me.
Wow. Okay. Over to Tim.
I agree with Mike. This is a strange way to end an album. I like the song. The song is good. It's a fine song. And I'm trying to think where I'd put it on the album, but it's almost like there isn't really anywhere that it would fit. And it almost feels like a case where, let's say, and I know this isn't the case, but let's say it wasn't on, say, the record or the cassette, but it was only on the CD. It was a bonus track.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me. It doesn't feel like part of the album. It fits with the rest of the material. For a slower song, I don't think it's single material, but I think it's okay. I just don't know. I don't know where it would. I don't know where it would better fit. I guess unless maybe. I'm stumped. I don't know where I'd put this on the album. I think it's okay.
I like what Tim said about it being sort of like that.
It's a weird
cassette
tone.
bonus track.
Right?
Yeah.
It does it not kind of feel like it's and
I
Mike, you read my mind on the Whitesnake. I Don't Turn Away is a strange ending to the 1987 album.
Yeah. Sorry, I had a thought and then I lost it.
Oh, that happens.
Sorry. It would be a fun exercise, kind of on your own homework time to just kind of rearrange this album's track listing and see what you come up with on your own for your own listening pleasure. That'd be a fun exercise.
Well, I'd have Play with the Fire last. To me, that would be that sounds like a closing song more than in the middle of the night. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
I put it as a side 2 opener.
yeah. It's like an opening or a closing track. What, in the middle of the night or Play with the Fire, you mean?
Play with the Fire would make a great
But in
side
the
with
middle of
the
the night.
instrumental.
Right,
In the
either an
middle of the
opener
night.
or a closer, but not, yeah. In the middle of the night.
Do the
They
closing.
should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, put it on there twice.
And Brujo as a closer. Yeah, I don't know. It is a very weird ending to an album. Yeah, Logan, your thoughts?
Yeah. Ending an album on a ballad. I'm not crazy about that most of the time. So,
Yeah.
I like the chorus of it. It's got some nice dramatic kind of backing vocals. It's got some nice keyboard work. I like the keyboard work in this one. But yeah, I don't think it doesn't do much for me. I mean, it's okay. It's not one of the standouts, I guess I would say. If I was gonna pick out songs that stand out on this record.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of would agree. Like, I know how the chorus goes. If I play it, I can't even really remember how the rest of the song goes. It's just kind of forgettable. It's kind of there. It's not that it's horrible. It's just kind of there. Chorus is good, but for the most part, yeah, it's not. It's an odd ending. And like, yeah, the White Snake thing. The chorus does have like almost a White Snake feel to it too. But the song itself is it's an okay song. But yeah, well, I guess we forgot to rate. Mike rated it. So Tim, what would you give this out of 10?
Oh, I'd give it a solid 8.
Okay, so you got 2 8s.
Yeah.
Jeff Dennis says 8 out of 10.
Okay. Well, getting 8s across the board. Okay. Logan?
Well, I'm gonna give it a 7. So
Okay.
Well, Logan, it gives you a 7.
You're a 7.
Oh, you don't like his 7 then.
On you, Sydney. What about you? Take a
Watch
stand,
out.
Sydney. Take a stand. Here and now.
Take it, take it, take it.
I mean,
Play with the fire, Sydney.
I don't want to take jabs at Triumph because they're my favorite band, but Just One Night I find is the worst song of the 80s. I guess I could say I like half of it, so 5.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Logan, can you kick this guy off his own show, or do you have that power?
he controls all of it. I
Sorry.
wish I could.
Jeez, I can't wait to watch what you do with surveillance.
Oh, well, yeah. Well,
Harsh,
Edge
Sydney.
of
I think
excess.
knowing that you're the hard rock guy, I expected more from you, to be honest.
no, I like, yeah. Well, that's why I like Rock and Roll Machine.
Did
and
LC just call you a loser?
Yes. That's my mother, so it's fine.
Oh,
That's not fine.
Years later, you'll be telling your therapist about that. It all
Yeah,
started on an online chat when Mom called me a loser for not rating Sport of Kings higher. And the doctor would be like, "What in the hell is Sport of Kings?"
And you'll be like,
It's this.
Tim Derling was making fun of me. And they'll be like, who in the F is Tim Derling?
Yeah. They'll be like, "Well, he's given to flights of fancy. We like to call him interesting."
He's the guy that lived next door to Miles Goodwin. Come on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I raised my kids better than this. Oh boy.
Damn, when you get smacked by your mom on live chat, that's not.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's hilarious to everybody else.
Oh boy. Yeah, it's just I don't
It's
know.
like the Faith No More lyric. It's always funny until someone gets hurt, and then it's just.
hilarious.
Pump your head again.
Good
Oh,
quote, Tim. I didn't expect you to be quoting
It's always
Faith No
funny.
More.
Faith No More. Wow.
It's always funny
Yes,
until
yeah.
someone gets hurt. And then it's just hilarious.
Don't look at me, I'm ugly in the money. Don't look at me, I'm ugly in the money.
Tim,
I love that album.
I love you, Tim.
Do Primus now. No.
Yeah, if you guys ever want to do Faith No More, A King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime, I would be down with you guys.
Oh my god. That's funny. Oh,
Don't
so
look so
there's a,
surprised. Happy birthday.
Like,
oh god. So there's only one thing on my mind. Who's ready to rock the nation and
Who's
get
ready to
hard?
make it
okay,
laugh?
well,
Oh, geez.
listen, real quick. I just have to take a quick break. I need to check on my wife real quick.
Okay.
I'll be right back. I have to be gone by 5 because I'm recording Number of the Beast. I have to make dinner and record Number of the Beast. So
Okay.
you guys start. I'll be
All right.
back in 2 minutes,
All right.
and I got to be done by 5.
Okay. Perfect. So we're gonna go with. Why is it
I
not
think I know
letting me?
what's happening here.
Yeah. There we go.
Anything in here, Jen? Okay, she's sleeping. Okay.
With this album, is it showing it?
Well, I see some little thumbnails.
Okay, so it's not showing it. Oh god. Let's see.
Well, it's right there. You can hit it. Maybe
Yeah.
it might
Double
show.
click it.
I did click it. It's not pulling
Just
it up.
double click it.
I did. It doesn't pull it up when
time.
it doesn't click it up. Let's see. Doesn't let me screen share that. Anyways.
We're having some technical possibilities.
Oh, here we go. You get a good view of it this way.
Yeah, just show it off.
Everyone to see. Oh, it was fun creating that. Oh boy. Yeah.
I'd rather look at this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I was looking, and this doesn't look like the same graphic that the boys put up for some reason.
Yeah.
And this, by the way, this was immortalized at the beginning of Grab a Stack.
That's right. That's right. Do the thing, Tim. Do the pose. You have to put it right in front of your eye, like on grab. You got to do it this way in front of your eye, like in the intro. There it is.
Okay.
There it is.
Yeah.
I laughed. In all seriousness, I laughed so hard when I saw that graphic, especially Mike Montrose.
Yeah, Mike Montrose.
So
I had some rocking hair.
Yeah.
I promised I would bring this up, but Sydney.
There we go.
That I had to be, quote unquote, Mike had to be Ronnie Montrose because I'm the oldest one and he's dead. That's what Sydney told me. That's an exact quote.
I said the oldest has to be Montrose, and then you said you were the oldest.
Same diff.
And he wonders why his mother, gives him a hard time online.
I don't know. Yeah, there's Mike Montrose.
I think of everybody here, I think Tim comes off like a Sears model. But Logan, look how happy Logan looks in that picture.
Shaved, so I don't even look like that person.
I said this to Mike. Logan reminds me of Roger Glover in this picture.
Yeah, he does actually. Yeah, you do look like Roger Glover.
Tim's the only one that actually looks like he could be the original person, sort of.
What I like is how my glasses have formed like part of the Montrose logo. If you look carefully.
Yes. Logan reminds me of Mr.
But compare that to the actual. Compare that to the actual, and you can
what's
see what
worse.
you did.
I don't know. Take your pick for what's worse. Oh my god.
Well, hey, at least he didn't do the back. Could have been worse.
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, well, go over to Mike then, since he's got to go in half an hour. So
well, maybe what I'll do is I'll just do all 8
go through
tracks.
every song,
I'll just rip through all 8 tracks.
Oh yeah.
All right, so yeah, 8-track album produced by Ted Temple.
8 tracks here, Mike. Hold on, don't take those.
let me rephrase myself. 8-song album, although I have the deluxe. If you wanted to know the history of how I got to know this album and all that stuff, it's basically very recent. During the pandemic, I bought this album. I bought this deluxe edition. So I haven't had a lot of years to live with it. I barely am familiar with it compared to the Triumph album, but I played it a lot this week. Rock the Nation. What an opener.
Yeah.
Isn't that an opener there? It's just pounding. Every song in this album is really up. It's up tempo. This is a heavy album as far as Sammy Hagar goes. Not a lot of fat, just the 8 tracks. But I think Rock the Nation's kind of a quintessential opener. But when we get to Bad Motor Scooter and that really cool guitar effect that I won't mime for you because apparently I've done enough of that on your show. Whatever that is, whatever Ronnie Montrose is doing on the guitar there to do that effect, I love it. I don't know that a motor scooter can ever look really bad, Get on your bad motor scooter and ride. That is a catchy chorus. You have to give, and I'm assuming it's Sammy Hagar that wrote the lyrics. I don't know that. Okay.
One of the first songs he ever wrote, I think.
You have to give Sammy Hagar credit for coming up with these catchy lyrics, even at this early stage of his career. This is the guy who wrote I Can't Drive 55, and way back in 73, he's talking about getting your bad motor scooter and ride. So there's a commonality there. There's a coolness. Moving on to Space Station number 5. Now, that's a song I've known for a lot of years because I first heard it via an Iron Maiden cover. Man, if this isn't my favorite Montrose riff, perhaps. I mean,
yeah,
that's a perhaps, because There's a song called "I've Got the Fire" on Paper Money here, which was gifted to me by Tim.
Which Maiden also covered.
Yes, which made obviously Steve Harris is a Montrose fan. It's crazy to think that Sammy Hagar has writing credits on Iron Maiden B-sides. You know, it's crazy to think of that. All those people who are like, "Oh, Van Hagar, wimpy, ballady, crappy." Oh, freaking Iron Maiden covered all these Sammy Hagar tracks.
Imagine Iron Maiden doing what's that song called? Feels Good. No, not Feels Good. What's it called?
Feels So Good.
No, Started.
Finish what you started.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Imagine that.
No. I wouldn't. I can't imagine that. Anyway, Space Station number 5. That riff, I don't know. It's kind of circular. Man, it's so good. It's just like one of those quintessential riffs. If you were assembling a mixtape of the top 100 riffs of all time, that's got to have some space there. And just an absolute highlight of Ronnie Montrose and Sammy Hagar's career. Then you get to "I Don't Want It," which is kind of like, I don't know, it's a Sammy Hagar rocker, isn't it? Hey, I don't want it. It's catchy. It's fun. It's not necessarily as outstanding as the previous track, but it's a break in the tempo. Then we get to "Good Rockin' Tonight," which might be the outlier on this album. That might be the oddball. I believe this is the same song that Robert Plant covered in the Honey Drippers, isn't it?
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
It's like "Good Rockin' Tonight" is like a sequel to this, or "Rockin' at Midnight."
Okay.
Is a sequel to this song. It's like the twist and let's twist again. It's kind of like that.
I would always kind of prefer more of an oldies kind of feel to a song like this, but good on them for doing it. I think a lot of people always subtract points off albums when there's covers on them, especially stuff like this. That's sort of an easy, low-hanging fruit kind of cover, but I'm going to give them points for it anyway, because they rocked it up big time. Time. You know, you could play that for the oldies crowd and they'd be like, ah! Then we get to "Rock Candy." "Hard, Sweet, and Sticky." That is almost a prototype for sleaze rock, I think. It's got that low groove. It's the lyrics. I think you could, if you erased this song from history, if you got Doctor Strange to cast a spell that erases this song from history, you would also erase a hell of a lot of bands from history. It's stripper metal. Yeah. You're right. Then we get to "One Thing on My Mind," and all of a sudden I can't remember how that one goes. So I apologize. Again, I haven't lived with this album for a lot of years, and I've been cramming this week. I've had 5 albums, I think, to do this week.
It's a lot like "I Don't Want It."
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like a bluesy, boogie block.
Boogie. Okay, yeah. Not my favorite. It's okay. It's okay, but it's not what I wouldn't carry it over to my greatest hits tape. And then finally, "Make It Last," a kind of a slower way to end an album. I like it. It's got some power to it. Again, I can't speak as deeply on this album as I did on Triumph, simply because I haven't known it for as many years, and I crammed this week. I mean, it's like for final exams, and I'm starting to forget all the details. All I can tell you is I bought this album and I found it rather difficult to get into when I first got it, because also when you get a double, that's a lot more tunage to absorb. You know, you flip it over and then you've got demos and you've got live and you've got some tracks that didn't make the album. So having spent the better part of this week listening to this album with Triumph and all this other stuff, I want to give this album some more time. One thing I also noted, I think it's Bill Church on bass, right?
Yeah.
Man, what a bassist. What a bassist. I love his bass lines on this album. He has some great stuff on this album as far as Bill Church goes. So I'm going to be paying a lot more attention to Bill Church in the future, because I am a fan of bass. I don't consider myself a bassist. I consider myself a fan of bassists. It's a Logan Church now. So I think I would also give this album an 8 out of 10. I'm going to give this album an 8 out of 10. Solid 8 out of 10.
Nice.
And again, thank you to Tim for this copy
Awesome.
of Paper Money. I would like to get Paper Money on the 2 CD deluxe as well. And that's about all I have to say about that. I'll hang out until 5.
All right. Did he buy it with you? Did he buy it for you with paper money?
No,
No,
he
I
bought
found
it for
the
me with.
copy that had the cover on, and I sent Mike the naked one.
See, Tim has been very generous to me over the years. Right there in my collection, that's stacks of 8 tracks, and 80 to 90% of them came from Tim. He buys stuff in lots sometimes because there might be 2 tapes in a lot of a dozen that he needs, and it's worth it. But then he just sends off the rest of the lot, the duplicates, to guys like me, and I've benefited. I mean, look, that's a nice stack of 8-track tapes. Am I right?
Ernesto has the rest.
Ernesto has the rest. There you
Ernesto
go.
has a formidable collection of 8 tracks.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a big shout out to Tim Derling, and also
That's a
because
nice.
it actually
stack of
hasn't
rock.
been mentioned yet. You know, if you want to learn about the Montrose album from a guy who knows a lot more about it than I do, then check this book out. You can get it on your local Amazon.ca.com, whatever. Red on Black, The Listener's Guide to Tim Derling. There's a chapter in here about Montrose. It covers Sammy's entire solo career, some Van Halen. Everything is touched upon, if not covered, in a little bit more detail. But check it out.
Perfect.
Great book. Great gift.
And with that, we'll move over to Tim.
For sure.
So it's interesting to note that if we're talking about the original 8-song album, 5 of the 8 songs in this album have been covered. Make It Last, and Rock Candy were covered by no less than Van Halen in the club days. So you can go on YouTube and find a very poor quality version of David Lee Roth singing a Sammy Hagar song, something he has said repeatedly he would never do. Anyway, Bad Motor Scooter, as who recorded that? Help me out, Mike.
I'm sure it's been covered. It seems like a song that
There's
was
an awesome version on YouTube of Sammy Hagar doing it with Def Leppard. It's like
really.
It's like a sound check, and it
Okay.
sounds really cool. Rock the Nation. I think Quiet Riot covered Rock the Nation, didn't they, Mike?
I've never heard that.
You're the Quiet Riot guy. Hey.
No, I'm just on the Wikipedia page here for Bad Motor Scooter. It just says Chickenfoot covered it.
That doesn't really count.
Doesn't really count. No. Sorry. I don't have any version of Quiet Riot covering Rock Candy in my collection.
Rock the Nation.
I don't have that either.
Let's
Thought
see.
you were a fan, Mike. Thought you were a fan.
It could have been
I know what
something
you're
else.
talking-
And I could be way out in space. I don't know.
I think I
it
know
could
what
be
you're talking
something-
about. They had a cover album. I think I know what you're talking about.
I know Tesla did it. That it was a B-side that ended up on their
Reel to Reel.
no,
Yes.
no, they do Make It Last on Reel to Reel, and it's awesome. But they Rock the Nation as a B-side.
Right.
It ended up on their gold collection that they put it out.
Oh, I have that. I
Yeah.
have that.
Let's see. One thing on my mind. No, that's never been covered to my knowledge. Space Station number 5, as Mike mentioned, Iron Maiden, and I Don't Want It. Don't think that's ever been covered. Good Rockin' the Night is a cover written by a guy named Roy Brown, and the Rockin' at Midnight is kind of a variant of that. And I will say this about Good Rockin' the Night: it's got my favorite solo from Ronnie Montrose. It's some pretty fast licks in that song. Rock Candy is probably the most covered song from this.
Yeah.
Aaron did a version of it. The Bullet Boys did a version of it. It's on the Wayne's World soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic song. And let's talk about the fact that this album is from 1973 and it sounds so good. When those drums kick in, Denny Carmassi on the drums, that's so clear and crisp compared to other albums from that time period. I think the songs are fantastic too, but the production is so forward thinking. I bought this album first in 1989 when I was trying to complete my Sammy Hagar collection, and a couple of his live albums he would do Space Station number 5 and Bad Motor Scooter, and I discovered that they came from this band Montrose that he was in for a very brief time. I can't say enough about this album. When I did my top albums from 1973, this was number 1. Absolutely. So
Well,
I don't think I
Tim,
got
if Van Halen were covering those tracks back in their early like backyard party days, how come they never covered him when Sammy was actually in the band?
Don't know.
Different style, I guess. I don't know.
One more thing I do want to add though, regarding "Make It Last." So for those that don't know the song, it kind of down, 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 like it's a slow rocker. When Sammy first had the idea for what would become the song Cabo Wabo, he told Eddie, think of "Make It Last." And so that's how Eddie came up with.
I hear it. That big open hanging chord.
Yeah,
it's that hanging chord. Yes.
So it's kind of the same, when I remember when I was 17, it's like I've been to Rome, Dallas, Texas. Like that's kind of where the genesis of that became.
And people were giving me crap for giving it a country twang. Listen to this guy here.
Man, I thought I'd seen it all.
Oh.
Anyway, it's a great album. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Sammy McGraw. There you go. And I'm about like Mike, guys. I really got to get going.
Okay.
But this has been awesome.
This has been awesome. I had a blast today, guys. Nice way to spend a
great having you.
Feel free to invite me back for something so I can give Mike credit.
Thank you for coming on.
It's fun. It's bad enough I do it on his show, but to do it on someone else's show, chef's kiss.
That's why I got you here. No, just kidding.
No, you couldn't have got a better expert for these two albums.
Oh, you're too kind, Mike. You really, considering what I do to you, you're too kind.
I know. Yeah. I agree.
See you later.
Oh, so Logan, your thoughts?
All right. I wrote down some chart history here. Record peaked at number 133 on the Billboard 200 when it first came out. So it was kind of looked at as a little bit of a disappointment at the time, I guess. But I think being signed on Warner too kind of might have hurt him a little bit, because like Warner Brothers had like the Doobie Brothers, and I don't think they really knew what to do with a heavier rock band. Yeah. But it is now a platinum seller in the States, so that's pretty cool. I'll get into the tracks. Rock the Nation album kicks off in fine fashion. Great heavy rocking riff before the band kicks in full force. Wrote down Energy. Sammy makes his presence known on this vocal track, giving a great vocal, love the guitar work Ronnie does, like about a minute and a half in when it breaks into that other riff. And it's got a very tasteful solo to it. Sounds like he's got phaser or something going on there. But yeah, that's a great song. Great kickoff to a great debut. And then we get Bad Motor Scooter with Ronnie showing off more of his guitar talents here. And I seen Tim, and I wrote it down too. I think it's a whammy bar that he's doing. He's revving his Bad Motor Scooter up with. And when you're listening to this album on headphones, if you ever do that, I've said this before, it comes through the left channel and then it goes into the right channel, and then Denny's drums kick in on the left channel when he's about ready to fade out, and then the song just comes in full force. So that's great production value right there with that song. Wrote down, this is the first song Sammy Hagar ever wrote. I'm pretty sure it is. I think I read his book before. I think he does say that. It's one of the first if it's not.
Tim said that.
Great catchy. Yeah, I remember Tim said that. Yep. Just a great catchy rocker. Love that stop-start riff the whole band takes in part before the solo. And the song ends the way it started out, with that revving of the motorbike or whatever.
It's crazy.
Yeah. That album is getting up there for
51 years. Crazy.
Yeah. But get in the Space Station number 5. Different change of pace from the first two tracks. A lot of overdubbed guitars at the start. And I read somewhere, it was on the internet, so it's got to be true, right? But there was a
everything on the internet's true. Come on.
I guess he's using a theremin there at the start. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure, but it kind of does sound like that. And like Mike was saying, they get into that rocking E chord into a D and the A is what he's doing there on that song, which kind of reminds me of like the Who or stuff like that. Sounds like a classic Pete Townsend riff a little bit. I love Hagar's scream on this song too when he comes back in after the mellow part. Yeah, Sammy's first. I said also wrote this down. His first of many steps into writing a song about space, and because he liked writing about that kind of thing, and he goes into detail about it in his book too.
Yeah.
Look at this.
The nine, the ninth dimension,
But, yeah.
and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And if you ever hear Iron Maiden's cover of this,
Yep.
Bruce Dickinson takes it to an absolutely ridiculous place at the end of the song. He treats it like he's commentating on a horse race, and it's quite funny. It's like Metallica's in third and Wanka's in fourth.
Yeah.
I've heard that before. I need to listen to it again.
They throw in a good solo in there too, but yeah.
Yeah. I was just talking to Mike earlier. They're a great band for covers on B-sides. But I'll get into I Don't Want It. To end the side off, it's got like a nice boogie woogie groove is what I wrote down. Got a great opening riff that stays throughout the song. Some great lines in the song with Sammy singing about quitting his job, making toothpicks out of logs and stuff. Maybe not the most beautiful song lyrically, but musically, this song rocks just as hard as some of the other songs. There's 3 tracks I feel on this record that are like that in that way, with Good Rockin' Tonight starting side 2. Yeah, that's a great album opener. It's a great.
That's cool.
It's a great
start a concert with that.
opener
That's
too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get into Good Rockin' Tonight, which starts side 2 off. With that, I was reading the Roy Brown original song came out in 1947, and some people cite it as one of the first rock and roll records. Kind of. I've never heard the original, so I need to check that out sometime. And I'm sure Montrose probably heard this when Elvis did it in the 50s.
Yeah.
It's another boogie rock and roll style track. Sets the tone. I love Ronnie's guitar, and I'd probably agree with him. This is probably his best solo. I love it. And there is video. I think it's the other guys in Montrose. They do like a tribute concert for Ronnie after he passed away, and I think Joe Satriani does the guitar part for that gig, and that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's worth checking out. But then we get into Rock Candy, which is the highlight for me on this album. One of my favorite Hagar tunes. Song starts with a great drum cadence from Denny before we get that heavy blues riff from Ronnie and those great Hagar vocals. Great memorable chorus, and ever since I first heard it, it's never left my head. So it's got to be that signs of a good song right there. Great pentatonic guitar licks. Love the way they end the solo section. Ronnie's like building up like power chords. He's going up on the neck there, and then the band starts doing it. Denny starts doing them fills and stuff. It just builds and builds until that chorus again. Yeah, I said I finished my notes off an all-time hard rock staple. I mean, then we get one thing on my mind. Another one of them boogie style songs. Got a really cool phase guitar riff to kick it off. Sammy giving some funny lyrics too on this song, like put on your coat and hat because I like it like that.
He's writing for Dr. Seuss. Come on.
Kind of musically, it's got that like 50s Chuck Berry stylings to it. Got that classic rock and roll feel to it. And I guess I really like Bill Church's feel when Sammy sings the chorus, the one thing on my mind part, and Bill starts doing the little bass section, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's a good song. And then we get Make It Last, the album's closer, kind of introspective song. Love the lyrics. He's talking about age and, always be grateful for your life kind of thing. Don't wish the years away kind of deal like he does in the song.
Amen.
Talking about being 17 and then being 21 and still not being old enough, He says 25 will be the one.
You're preaching to the guy that Sydney said had to be Ronnie Montrose because he's dead. Come on.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, musically, this song isn't really much Music wise, I mean, it's just kind of simple, but it works. I think it works. Rhythm section lays down a tight 4 on the floor groove. Love Ronnie's slide playing when he does it on this song, just a little bit, right before the chorus most of the time. And I love how the song ends and fades out. You know, it's one of them songs like we always talk about on here. Like, I wish it didn't fade out because just a killer track. That keep on rolling part, they could have kept that going for 3 or 4 more minutes. I would have been okay with it. But yeah, this record, it's one of the reasons I'm even on here with you guys. I mean, this was one of the first albums I ever really got into that was hard rock and, you know, very influential on US hard rock and even heavy metal. I think when this came out, some of the reviewers even called it heavy metal, which is pretty interesting. Groundwork for Van Halen. Yeah, the groundwork for like Van Halen and stuff was born on this album, in my opinion. Couple of heavy bands before this from the US, you know, like Dust and Sir Lord Baltimore, bands like that. But they didn't ever have success like, you know, Montrose had fairly, you know, they got bigger, I think, after Sammy became more well known. But yeah.
No, Peter, I
Sounds
consider myself a bit
fascinating
of
to
a,
hear.
yeah, I'm a Billy Sheehan fan, and I didn't even know about that. So that's freaking cool.
I was just playing that album for Shanker's birthday yesterday. But yeah, I bet it's pretty good, man. Yeah, them guys went on to do all kinds of stuff. I mean, Carmassi was in Heart and
Coverdale Page. He got to play the Led Zeppelin songs with Coverdale Page. I mean, the drumming, you guys, Logan, you know Coverdale Page. I mean, the drumming on that album is fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, me and Tom go into detail about that on a couple of them songs on that video.
You know what you're talking about there. You know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. But when it comes to this, I'll show it one more time. Before they were Mike Montrose.
Sydney, you can show that again.
What this?
I just think it's one of the,
for those who missed it.
I'd say it's
because Pete hasn't seen this horror. This horror that you created. Pete hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm smiling at Mike like that, but
that's your problem. I don't know what Tim's looking at either. I like somebody left like a pizza on the table, and Tim's like, when's this photo shoot open? There's a pizza.
Sydney's about to punch Mike for some reason. I don't know what.
No, I think Sydney's like, what's that smell? Logan's got some ear cheese going on.
My eyes, I am blind. Oh my god.
But
Tim Hagar, Mike.
Before I finish,
Mike Montrose. Brilliant stuff. Well done.
Before I finish, I want to mention that Rhino release that Mike has, which has their first performance. Like, I guess it's their first debut performance on radio, KSAN radio from the record plant in Sausalito. And there's 2 tracks that never made a Montrose album that are on there. You're Out of Time and Shoot Us Down. Really think Shoot Us Down could have made this album. I really love that song. But yeah.
Really, I was underwhelmed by that one. I was underwhelmed by Shoot Us Down.
Oh, I like that. Huh. Do you like You're Out of Time? Or
yeah, I like that one a lot. Thought that one could have been on the album.
Yeah, I like that song. I like You're Out of Time. That's like the solo, and that's great too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, boys, I should probably bail. Well, actually, no, Sydney, you should probably go before I bail.
Okay. So yeah, like Rock the Nation starts off strong. That da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. It's just a great opening riff to start the album. Great high energy song. Love that song. Just nothing bad to say about Thunderous. Yeah, he's a great drummer. He never really gets mentioned, even though he's been with everybody. No one really, when you think of drummers, no one's gonna mention it.
Yes.
Yeah, like he became a huge like session guy, right? And just like sometimes those session drummers are better than the more well-known ones because you have to be able to play everything, really. Yeah, he's a phenomenal drummer. The drums on this album are just great. And then
the recording of them is fabulous.
And Bad Motor Scooter, just another. I love that whole. Yeah, sounds like a motorcycle at the very beginning, just going Which, yeah, with Motley Crue totally took for Kickstart My Heart. It's identical, that whole motorcycle thing. I find, though, with that, I find the solo was a little bit buried in the mix on it, though, for whatever reason on that song. It's kind of too low in the mix on Bad Motor Scooter. The live version, you hear it a lot more. That's only because you got the one guitar player, so you're losing the rhythm during the solo, so you hear the solo a lot more. But I just find on the original recording, the solo's a little bit lower, and I would like to hear it a little bit more. But still, it's a great, great song. Just fast, heavy song. And for 73, I don't know what else was this heavy in 73, really.
Yeah, good point. I mean,
Really
it's heavier
great.
than Aerosmith. It's heavier than Kiss. Well,
Yeah,
we're
and it's
not
older.
73 yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. This is a very heavy album for 73 rock.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, for American bands anyways, British bands were doing this earlier, but yeah, for an American band, doing this kind of stuff was, yeah, very. And then, yeah, we get into Space Station #5, speaking of heavy, that scream at the beginning. Who was doing that kind of screaming at that time? Like, that's more like an 80s style of screaming vocal. Like, that's.
Well, Roger Daltrey.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of similarity between Hagar and Daltrey.
Oh yeah.
This was a little bit raunchier, though, almost. I
Yeah,
don't know.
this is raunchier for sure.
Yeah, and you could just tell it was made to be covered by a heavy metal band, like Iron Maiden. It's great.
That riff is relentless.
And I love the beginning where it sounds like you're on like another planet or something. There's aliens coming. You're at the space station.
Right.
Weird. And then it has that even gets weird at the end too. It's just a really weird song.
Yeah, well, there's that middle section where Hagar's like singing a very kind of almost dissonant melody.
Yep.
And yeah.
I wouldn't say I like the Maiden version more because the original is always still gonna be better.
Well, Bruce goes.
I wish they had that solo that Maiden threw in the middle of it. There's a lack of a really good solo in this song. Otherwise, it's like an amazing song. Like, I feel like they could have thrown like a really cool solo in the middle of there too.
Maiden's version is just a tad too jokey, like when Bruce.
Yeah, well, at the end,
you know that it prevents the song, which could have been one of those.
I know what you mean. At the very end, they start being silly at the end of it.
It just stopped short of being one of those classic Maiden B-sides that you could just blow somebody away with because it loses it at the end.
Well, that roll over Vic Vela.
That's another one that's just a little too goofy. I mean, there's a time and a place for a novelty comedy cover, and Maiden have done lots of those. Lots of them.
Yeah, and then we get to I Don't Want It. Yeah, just good blues rocker. Fun song. Just these are all like, and these songs come off good live too. Like if you look up some old footage of them playing this stuff, and then good Rockin' Tonight. I'd say it's my favorite on the album because I really love that solo. I agree with you guys on that. It's weird to say that because it's a cover. But I would almost say I could almost make the case for it being my favorite on the album just simply because of that wicked solo he plays. Just nuts. It's just a simple old 50s style blues song, right? But the solo he throws in there is just great. And then Rock Candy. That's like the song. You think of Montrose, that's the song everybody's gonna name.
Yep.
I feel like they're one of those bands where like general public probably wouldn't be able to name the band, but you say Rock Candy, oh, that band, okay. Yeah, great song. That whole lyrics aside with the hard, sweet, and sticky, but lyrically it was a little bit odd, but yeah. And then one thing on my mind, it's another kind of like boogie song. It's kind of one of those songs. It's kind of like almost hard to remember how it goes in a way.
I forgot how it went. Tim had to remind me how it went. Tim had the
I find it's like the weakest song on there, but it's not a bad song by any means. And then Make It Last is great. There's a version of it in black and white at like those old Winterland concerts. And yes, Rock Candy is their Mississippi Queen. It even has that sound to it. You're right. It has that whole sound. They were probably listening to Mississippi Queen when they came up with that.
Yeah, good observation there. I agree fully.
And then Make It Last. There's video of them playing Make It Last with Neil Schon, Sammy Hagar solo playing doing Make It Last with Neil Schon back when Journey, like before Steve Perry, like back when they were kind of like a heavy prog sort of band.
Yep. When
Yeah.
Neil had the fro. Yep.
Yeah, like look up Neil Schon and Sammy Hagar doing old. I think they even do like they even do Reckless, and it's just like Neil Schon going nuts on the leads, playing these heavy Sammy solo songs, and Montrose.
Nice.
It's crazy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Make It Last. Yeah, look at Make It Last. It's old black and white footage from Winterlands. Sammy Hagar and Neil Schon is on there.
Yeah.
Brings them out because I think Journey was probably the opener, doing a show with them that night or something. But yeah, great album. I don't think there's a weak moment on it. One thing on my mind is probably the weakest moment, but I don't think it's a bad song. It's just kind of one of those songs you almost have to listen to it more than once to kind of remember how it goes. But everything else is classic to me. I'd give this a 9.5.
Nicely done, Sydney. Nicely done.
Yeah, I'm giving this a good one.
So we've had some pretty healthy endorsements for Montrose today. Pretty unanimous, really.
Yeah, and he was a good guitar player. He was under. It's sad what happened. That whole story with. Yeah.
But the albums are there, and the music will be forever. And without Montrose, perhaps there would be no Van Halen. Perhaps, who knows?
Probably, and it was Ted Templeman, right? He produced the. Was it just the first Van Halen, or was it a few of them?
A lot of them, and also the engineer Don Landee.
Also both.
Yeah, so this is a Templeman Landee, engineered by Don. I don't know if you can read that or not. Probably not. But you can. Engineered by Don
there
Landee.
You go. Yep.
Who had the full recording credit on OU812. But there's another picture that Sydney can use to manipulate later. Look how young they are there.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Great album, man.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for letting me spend the afternoon with you. I do have to go make some dinner, and then in 2 hours I am recording this one right here. So
you're gonna sing all the songs on that one, right?
Sorry,
you're gonna hit those high notes on "Hallowed Be Thy Name," right?
I don't know if I'm going to sing on my own show. I tend to sing only on your show. You know what? Maybe we should go out on a song.
Oh boy! Don't just one night. I'm muting you.
Okay, maybe we should.
I'm just kidding.
But thank you so much, guys. I've got to take off. Great episode, and are you doing Surveillance next week?
Yep, next week.
Awesome! Can't wait. That'll be an interesting one for me to hear.
Yeah.
It's an interesting album.
Yeah.
All right. Sure. You guys take care. Have a wonderful weekend, gentlemen.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. So that was a good one. 2 hours again. It always goes long with these guests, man. It's so much fun. So then, to then cap it off, tomorrow is we're going to be doing our music hangout. So anyone's welcome to anyone wants the link will somehow get in touch with you and wants to join in, and anyone that's watching, we'll post the link in the chat. And if you want to come on, I think it's a limit of 6 people. So, but if anyone wants to come on and just hang out while we play, we're going to be playing 2 albums and 2 separate videos. The first video will be an album called Welcome to My Paradise by Alcana. Came out in 78. And then later on, the guitar player had an album that he did in 99 where it's him doing classical covers on guitar. It's called Rock the Box. So we'll be playing that on there after that. So it'll be a 2-part thing, 2 separate videos, and you can come in there, and if you don't want to be on camera, it's fine. You can hang out in the chat we'll be just playing it and maybe going through some of the songs and just reacting to it, live reactions, and so it'll be a whole lot of fun. And then next week we've got Danny Alcana, the guitar player, booked for an interview. And that's already uploaded on there to preview that it's the time and everything. So be the same time. So 2 Sundays from now we'll be getting him on here after listening to his music. So and then I've also been in touch with some other band members from other bands that we're doing on our State to State Obscurities, and they all seem down to do it too. I've also got permission from the guitar player from Pandemonium to play their music. He's kind of having some issues with stuff going in Alaska, weather-based stuff basically, so he can't really do an interview right now. He's focusing on sorting some stuff out, but then at a later date, he'll come on at some point. But yeah, he gave the go ahead. We can play all 3 of their albums on a hangout in the future, and yeah, so we're gonna try to do that with a lot of these obscure bands if we can somehow play the music and live react to them, and then somehow maybe get interviews with whoever we can. So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun just talking to these musicians and hearing their stories and just letting them talk, and just it'll be really, really fun. And you can ask questions in the chat if you want. Just make sure they're appropriate. And then it'll be a lot of fun. So thank you everybody for watching this. Tune in next week for Surveillance, and obviously tomorrow, like we just discussed. But yeah, for the Triumph series, tune in next week for Surveillance. So have a good one.